Yesterday, one of my employees introduced me to a new therapeutic concept, and I'm always excited to learn about new things that we can do with our clients. She introduced me to sand tray therapy. Her intent is for our practice to offer this specific type of therapy with a focus on adults. I wasn't familiar with sand tray therapy before yesterday. I'd heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was. In my mind, I pictured playing with sand. Seemed kind of obvious, maybe building and making castles or some little Zen designs with a little sand rake. Really, I had no idea what to expect. Once she started unpacking the tray and setting out all the, I guess you call them accessories, I got a little nervous about what was going to come next. Sand tray therapy uses sand and a tray. That much I had already worked out for myself. But she brought out a lot of, well, toys to use. Trays of toys, figurines, miniatures, animals, people, objects, and so on. Things you can use to make a play world. As a Lego aficionado, I was starting to get excited about building something. This exercise is seemingly simple. The therapist gives you a prompt, and you create a scene while they observe and analyze the details. The prompt she gave me was to create a scene in the tray about your current practice as it is right now. There may be elements of the past and the future, but try to focus on the present. Seems simple enough. I won't get into the details of how I made the scene because that probably wouldn't be interesting to most people. I will say that I was quickly overwhelmed by the task, and in my desire to be perfect, I struggled to find representations of what I wanted to convey. I made my scene, put in a little tray, I sat back waiting for her to chime in. Now, as somebody who's been well trained in a lot of psychotherapeutic techniques, I was really curious to see how she interpreted my scene. I was trying really hard not to go there myself, to let her do her job and demonstrate this technique. It's kind of hard for me to pull back, but I focused on staying in the moment, putting my professional ego in check and letting her do her job to show me what this could be for other people. She asked some clarifying questions about what I created and then asked questions about very specific things. And, well, fuck, it hit me a lot harder than I imagined it would. What she uncovered, and quite skillfully, was an incongruence with the work I'm doing now and how effective I perceive myself to be in that role. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I'm good at what I do. I'm actually very good at what I do. But lately it hasn't always felt that way. And it's not about the imposter syndrome I talked about before. I thought maybe that was where this was going, but that wasn't it. She asked more questions and we got to more understanding of the disconnect I'm feeling. What she didn't know was that I was already seeing the underlying problem. Her job in sand tray therapy isn't to point out the obvious. It's about getting me to name it and create my own solutions to initiate some change. This was a really brief introduction to the concept so I'd understand what she wanted to bring to the office and so I can understand how to promote it. She wasn't giving me actual therapy. We didn't go that deep, or so it seemed. After she was done, I had hours and hours to think about what she uncovered and what it means. Turns out the disconnect between what I'm doing and how effective I think I am isn't in any way about not being good at my job or not being skilled enough or failing people. It's about the fact that the work I'm doing, I don't actually want to do. Yes, I recognize that nobody has a job where they love every part of it. Everybody has parts of their work life that they don't like or even outright hate. But we do it anyway because it's part of the job and it lets us do the work we really want to do, the stuff we like, the stuff we love. At first, I tried to think of it as the administrative part of my job that was killing me, but that's not it. The administrative side of owning a group practice does kind of suck sometimes. Always paperwork, always things to sign, always money to send out, always things that you have to attend to. But I did that in my work before mental health, so that's not really a hardship for me. I had to drill down on what was not fulfilling me. Turns out I don't like a lot of the work that I do. Not really. I love working in mental health. I love helping people understand what's going on in their lives, mapping out things that can be different, and supporting them as they make changes that ultimately help them to be happier and healthier. It's very rewarding work. The issue I'm facing is that I don't always like the specific kinds of therapy that I do or the specific populations that have somehow become a focus of my energy and efforts, even though that's not at all what I set out to do. Basically, I'm not working as much with my ideal client as I would like. The ideal client is a concept. It's a representation of the people you most want to help. It's a visualization exercise usually used for marketing purposes to help you target your marketing efforts. Pick the one person you most want to work with, the one person you most want to help, the person you can close your eyes and imagine sitting across from you day after day. And you direct all your efforts to getting that person in the door, because all the other work is going to come anyway. People will always need help with depression and anxiety and work stress and family strife. But if you want to work with female veterans of color, as an example, you market to that group and further specialize your training and your efforts for that group, because you're going to get a lot of the more general cases anyway. It's about developing a niche, which I never spent a lot of time thinking about. I hung out my shingle, worked with all the people who found me, and let word of mouth carry me forward. It's not a bad way to develop a practice, and it really has paid off. But I'm not doing enough of the work I want to be doing with the people I most want to work with. The obvious questions are, well, what is that work and who is the ideal client? Right now, I honestly don't know. What I know is that I'm not doing the work I most want to be doing, or I wouldn't feel this way about my work in general. Probably should have taken the time a few years ago to focus on a segment of the mental health market. But I was doing okay on my own, and when I first opened a group practice, I thought, why bother? Things are going great. Why this struck me so hard yesterday was the realization that I'm carrying that lack of fulfillment out of the office and into all of the other spaces in my life. Now, let me be really clear here. I love my job. I love most of my work, but I want to be doing something different after nearly 20 years of working in this field in some capacity. Maybe it's time to get another specialization and focus on that. Maybe it's time to offer services to a very specific, very narrow range of people. I don't know. I'm not hating my work. I'm not hating my job. I'm not hating my clients. I'm just not as fulfilled as I used to be, and I'm ready for a change. But I don't know what that is yet. Whatever it is, it's worth exploring. It absolutely matters. I'm carrying that lack of fulfillment home, and it's not fair to me or the people around me. Even though I can't talk about my work at the end of the day, even though I don't get to share stories about my day or details about how things went, I'm telling a lot just with my frustration or my negativity or my disconnect. That must be sending a message that I'm not entirely happy during the workday. And when I can't talk about why, I bet people think it has something to do with them or situations that aren't about work. It makes sense to me. If I come home frustrated or agitated or burned out or checked out because I didn't find fulfillment in my work that I wanted that day, my boyfriend or my kid might internalize it as unhappiness or dissatisfaction with them, especially when I can't give them details about how it's not about them. Same thing with family and friends. In career psychology, we call this person-job fit. It's the compatibility between a person and the jobs or tasks that they perform at work. A highly researched area, and often utilized by hiring managers and human resource personnel, is asking people to describe how much of a specific job characteristic or factor is ideal and how much of that they're actually getting. When there's a misfit there, problems creep up. People can stop investing in their job. They get burned out. They change jobs hoping for something a little more balanced. Great example in the therapy world is people graduate, they get their supervision time, they get their license, and sometimes they go to work at certain nonprofit agencies that I will not name that provide outpatient mental health care. The therapists take jobs there thinking they're going to be spending most of their time doing actual therapy. And then they get frustrated to learn most of their job is case management. Not a good fit, they don't stay. In my case, the misfit is because I've been doing this for a long time and I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready to branch out, branch away from my current specialized work. I need something new. Not because it's not good work, because it is. Not because it's not rewarding, because it is. I just need something different. Running through that exercise yesterday helped me to see that. even though that's not where she took it with her questions. That's where I took it in the hours after her questions when I was further reflecting. That thing we always hope clients do after a good therapy session. Go home and think about it, reflect on it, search for deeper meaning, then come back and tell us so we can go even further. That's what I did. And when I put numbers to it, it makes perfect sense why this has disrupted my personal space. There are 168 hours in a week. We all get the same 168 hours. If I take out sleep, my work life uses up 35 to 40% of my waking hours across the calendar week. But during the week, the work week, it's 50 to 60% of my waking hours. That's a lot. So when I get home at the end of the day with maybe 6 hours left before I go to bed and really only 3 or 3.5 hours before the boyfriend goes to bed, that's not a lot of time for goodness and connectivity if I'm focused on work stress or upset that I'm not doing the work I most want to be doing. This wasn't where I thought that exercise would take me, but I see yet another way my work has impacted other areas of my life. And I owe it to myself to make whatever changes are needed to be the best, happiest, and healthiest version of myself. For me, for the people around me, for the people I serve, for the people I hope to serve. Over the coming weeks and months, I'll be thinking about how to retool my business model to better serve the people I'm most drawn to. That's going to benefit me. I'll be a happier person. I'll be healthier. I'll be more invested in other aspects of my life. And it ties in with some of the revelations I've been making through the worksheets and activities about my core values and the things that I most want to focus on. The things that I maybe have backburnered a little bit because I've pigeonholed myself into this specific area. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to explore that some more. It'll take a while. It's not an instant change. It's weeks or months in the making. It's going to be so worth it when I get back to that point where I'm not staring down burnout and trying to just push my way through it. I deserve better than that, and so do the people around me. That's where I'm at today. I'll check in tomorrow.